Right, good afternoon, gents and ladies and whoever might be watching. We're back again on Virtual Pool 4 and excuse me, we've got another match in this year's VP4 World Straight Pool Championship, and it's on the winner's side. It's a round 5 match between acero and semi-pro, and we are about a minute or so away from kick-off. It starts at the top of the hour. I managed to get home in time, and let's have a quick look at the bracket, because we've got a couple of interesting things. We had a match last night that turned out to be one of the better matches of the tournament, and it was a match between Larry and Baker Maker, and well, Baker Maker was threatening to sort of run away with it. Larry kept himself in it. He got a nice little run. In the end, Baker Maker won out by 100 points to, what was it, 93 or something. Yeah, it was a very close run thing in the end. But Baker Maker marches on, and this is a guy I've not seen much of at all, and he could be well in with a chance. He certainly knows exactly what he's doing. We've seen evidence of that last night. We've also got the next match on the one-loss side, which is going to take place later tonight. We'll have that one as well on the stream, and that's between Romario and Franco, race to 100. So we'll get that one to look forward to, and that could be very interesting. And this is a match we are waiting on now. The rooms should be up now, and that's the one between acero and semi-pro. So we'll just wait on the room going up. We've tested the chat should be working. I've increased the size of the chat slightly so I can read it better. So we're streaming live on YouTube and Twitch, and once again, both chatters, any chatters on either channel, will see the chat coming up on the screen, and I can see it as well, which is handy for me. And the one last thing to check is my little doodle, which I think is working. It's a bit of a lag when it's not on in the game. So the room's up, and we will head in, and we're waiting on the lag. And both players are in. Once again, I haven't a clue who's who, but we're waiting on the important part of the game, the lag, to see who gets put in. Well, it's going to be the ball in the left. That's a very good lag, and it's won by semi-pro, and he's put acero in. So race to 150, and let's see if acero can work something out here with a break off. Well, that's the one where you try and get the other ball in the corner, that one ball back across into the pack, and he's almost got there. It's too much of a tempter, I think, that to be going for this early in the match. So semi-pro having a look around, but it's surefire he's going to run into the 3 and the 5 ball at the top end there. And he's kissed into the 3. I think he still has some sort of a shot in the 5. Right. He can't go half measures for this. He's got to go into the pack, because you can't avoid the pack. So straight away, semi-pro is in. And that's a tough thing about the break-off, especially in Virtual Pool 4. In a real table, that would still be a very difficult shot, that cut in the 1 ball. Obviously it's a lot simpler in Virtual Pool 4, but it's still a tough shot. And Semi-Pro again taking the opportunity to just open things a bit. But these balls are actually sitting... There's still one or two covering each other, but there's enough there to be picked off. And Acero, another one of these players with a 2,800 rating. And he's really got to live up to that rating if he's going to be a match for Semi-Pro. So the balls are still gathered in and around the triangle. And there's no break ball there, but if he's got a little angle in this 14, he can certainly nudge a few. Well, he's nudged a 6. Now is he on that 7? Yep, he's got the 7. So we've got Acero from Japan and Semi-Pro from the UK, presumably down in England. And this match is started at the top of the hour GMT, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which I'm guessing, without looking at any time zone charts, I'm guessing it's at least 9 o'clock at night Tokyo time. So it's late in the day, or getting late in the day for Acero. And that's a bit straight in the 6 ball. He's going to have to just draw it nicely to leave a shot in this 11 into the middle. I think he's okay. He's now got a break ball. I think that 9 ball will do as a break ball, because again it's at the head of the pack. And the 8 ball would be a break ball as well. It's outside the triangle. Well, now Semi-Pro is going to have to drop in behind that 8 or 10 ball if he plays it gentle, or he's going to have to go right around the corner to the left and come out into the middle of the table. I think he's worried about probably colliding with something here, even though he's a fair way a bit from the 10 ball, but he's going to have to put something in the cue ball if he's going to get around the corner. No, he's just dropping in behind. And well, that's finished just the wrong side of the 10 for comfort. And once again, if he's going to get on the 8 ball, he has to work the cue ball. And he's playing it with inside English, so this cue ball's going to the rail, but to get it to go that way, and it has to keep travelling. Well, at least he can see the 8. And I don't think there's an awful lot he can do here. Again, he's looking to play right inside English off that rail and go around and come into the pack. Yeah, it was never a good angle. So it doesn't matter. He's got 15 ball start from the break off there by Acero, and that's why it's so important to win the lag. So now we're going to get a little bit of safety. And I was saying last night in the Larry match, when you're playing safety off this pack, the best place to try and get that cue ball's down on this bottom rail and get it tight on the rail, because it does make it much more tougher to get a thin edge on that pack from distance. That 10 ball's open at the back of the pack. Let's have a quick look. Well, he looks as if he's going to run head on, try and keep it tight, which he has done. So now there's a couple of balls now in the open, so there's not a lot of places to hide. And now acero could put the pressure on Semi-Pro here if he just plays a little push as well. Because it then forces Semi-Pro to try and get to a rail, but he hasn't taken that opportunity. Semi-Pro may well just do the same thing again. He's going to have to play a good shot if he's going to play off that 5 to cover the 1 ball. So there's a bit of a dilemma here for a safety shot for Semi-Pro. It's going to have to be a good one. Now he could try, well he's looked at a possible shot there. You could bank the 5, call a safety, bank the 5 and just draw back to the pack. That should give him cover, but again he's on 1 foul. And acero should just push to the 4 and force Semi-Pro trying to get to a rail, because then if he doesn't, he'll be in 2 fouls. So acero has the advantage here, and he's done the right thing. Now the only thing is though, I think he's made it easy for Semi-Pro to get to the rail. So that's sort of backfired on acero. So acero now on -1, and Semi-Pro having lost a couple of points, he's down to 13. And this is now going to get a test of nerves here, because the balls are now opening, and the more they open, the less places you can go to hide. Now, is he lining up a combo here? No, that 4 would go right to the rail if he tried that sort of combo. Well, there's nothing there that I can spot. And acero's looking at that again, but I don't think you can see enough of the 14. But there's no combo there. That 7 ball's pushing the 4 to the, before the jaw. And this is important for acero to win this safety duel here. He doesn't want to be feeding Semi-Pro any of these balls. And that's a clever little shot as well. And acero is in a wee spot of trouble here, but if he plays the right shot here, he could again bank the 5. The problem is he can certainly get cover from this side. I don't think he's leaving anything on if he left a cue ball there. The only worry would be the 5 ball, and that's the issue. So this side of the table is fine, because all of these balls are covering one another. So this is your safety zone at the moment. That 13 ball's the problem. You can't go any lower down here, because you're going to leave the 13 into the middle. But Semi-Pro's picked out the cut in the 1, and that's bad news for acero. A chance to capitalise on that first shot. He's got balls here to be picked off. It's going to be a combo, I think. Well, he doesn't need to take the combo. He's got the 14 into the middle. He's bound to be on something after this. How does that look? Well, he's got an angle in the 12 anyway. And already we have possible break ball on this side of the table, the 13. And there's a couple this side. We've got the 10 and the 4. The 10's at the top of the triangle. And looking at where Semi-Pro is, he's a wee bit out of line. It's a little cut back. The pace is good. And now he can, well, he can pot the 7. Can pot the 3, then the 7, and then he can leave himself on the 6 at the back of the triangle there. Get rid of it. Another thing I was saying last night in the Larry match, that this 3 ball is always in the back of your mind, as is the 5. They're both on the opposite rails and they've got to be dealt with. So now the little nudges split open the 4 and the 10. Chance to get behind the 5 here if he wants. Well, that's not an ideally comfortable angle he's got. Cue ball's going to be running across the face of the 10 and the 4. If he hits it plain ball, he's drawn back off the rail to go across the opposite side rather than going the top side. He's still got that 3 ball being the concern where it is. Now, can he pot that and hit the point? Yeah, I think he can. And he looks as if he's running out off the point. That's finished quite nice. So the 4 ball will be the break ball. So he's in the triangle, cue ball in hand in the kitchen, and can place it anywhere along that kitchen line to give him the best break angle that he can make from this 4 ball. And a bonus ball as well. And this is well, it's already looking a bit ominous here for Acero. Still sitting in -1. Hasn't had any opportunities yet at all. Not a sniff. And all the while he's sitting there, Semi-Pro is building up a hefty lead here. And this is what happened at one point in the match last night with Larry and Bakermaker. Larry was getting left behind and he had a couple of opportunities, but he just didn't score. So he eventually got a score on the board to get him back within like 4 or 5 points and keep him in the match. It made it a match in the end. But Acero's going to have to respond as and when he gets an opportunity, and it has to be a scoring response. You know, 3 and 4 points is no good. well, 12, then the 10, and out for the possibly the 3. By the look of it, he can drop in behind a 3 ball, play it into the same pocket the 12 is in, but I think he's left himself straight. Well, he's got a slight angle, he's leaving the 9 first. Now, what we got here for break balls? Well, 14 looks like it. That's the only one that's in a good position, right in the corner of the pack. And that's more than likely going to be the break ball. And he might be able to just draw in behind the 3 here. So it'll be 3, then the 10, and then down the table here for the 8. He could even run right through and play the 8 long down into this bottom left hand corner pocket as we look. But he needs to get off the rail. And he's going to have to dig in here, or just roll through to the middle pocket. So he has a couple of choices. It makes the shot a wee bit more difficult if he's digging down in the cue ball to try and draw back for the 10. But he doesn't like the look of the 8, I don't think. Well, is this going to be the right choice? He's going to have to get good on this 8 from where he is right now. Well, he says bad shot. I'm surprised he didn't go for the 8 long and just leave himself higher in the 10. If he had actually potted the 8 down here, wait to get my lines right, that's better. If he'd potted the 8 and the cue ball was here, he could have cut that 10 and get the cue ball up here for the break shot. So the mistake has been made. Semi-Pro's run ends on 26 and he has a 40-point lead. And acero straight away is going to have to take that 14 ball. And the 8 ball has been respotted at the head of the triangle, so it's coming down onto the break spot in a second or two. And I don't even think that's a great position for acero. Now, well, I know exactly what I'd be doing. I'd be just running for cover, bank that 8 ball back to this bottom rail and get the cue ball up behind the pack. It'd be a brave man to try and cut that and get a break shot from it. And it'd be crazy in his current circumstances to be taking any undue risks. Well, I haven't seen him call a pocket or anything, so it looks like the safety. Oh, he went for the cut. Well, he hasn't got cover. Oh, and here's a little teaser. Semi-Pro has squirted the cue ball out from the back of the pack. There is a very thin cut in the 8 ball, but he'd have to run that cue ball up and down the table to get up for the 14. If he was to go for the cut, you've got to get the cue ball up and then out for the 14. It's the only ball that's on, but it'd be a brave shot to do that as well. Well, he's called the combo, and that's a cracking shot. A brave shot to play, but he's got no reward. And he's still got this 8 ball as a concern. And if you look at that 7 and 6, that 7 and 6, the 6 looks as if it's going to the jaw. And that's not a bad safety. Now the more I look at that 6 ball, the more I see that it's inclined to go in. So it may well be moved now. But that is a possible combo in the pack. But it won't be in a second or two if Semi-Pro nudges the 3 ball. Now what's he planning here? Well, he's called the 14 into the left middle as we look. You certainly wouldn't want to be doing that to try and cut that in. I don't know what he's trying here or what he's thinking. Hard to work out. Now he called a 14, but the 5 has gone in as far as I can see, so it is a missed call. But he's almost got away with that. I think this 9 ball is very, very tight, and it's so difficult to judge a potting angle on this. And acero could well, he could get a couple of points if he can get this 9, but it is by no means anywhere near easy to judge this cut. And he's played it well, but where's the cue ball going? And he's on nothing. So it's just going to be bits and pieces here for acero. Took the risk, but didn't get the reward. Well, he spotted something else here. Let's look at the 5 and the 1. Oh, this is another brave shot, but that's going way to the jaw. And that was way too risky to be going for. And that's not a good sign. When you're 37 points behind, this is just a free visit for a semi-pro. And that's where you have to make those big decisions. You know, you're trailing, but you can still chip away at the score if you keep it tight. But if you want to try and be a hero, then there's a hefty price to pay for not getting the shot, and this could be it. There's no way on earth would I ever have played that possible combo if I was trailing by 39 points. Never in a month of Sundays would I have ever played that. It's far too risky. And well, you could say it was a shot of desperation, but it's, you know, there's always ways to win a match, there's ways to stay in a match, but that wasn't it. And at the moment, acero is basically relying on Semi-Pro giving him some freebies here, and Semi-Pro has, I think, only really missed one shot, got out of line. So there's nothing going for free here for acero, which is why he's stuck in 2. That's why he's got virtually nothing to show for his part in the match so far. And there's another combo which comes in very handy, because that's now loosened up the rack. And another thing as well, if you're a 2,800 player, you know, your match play sensibilities should come in. They should kick in. and tell you that you're taking far too risky a shot to have tried that combo. It was nowhere near lined up for a start, and it was never the shot to play. I don't know what that was. What it was specifically a. No, it was an error by Semi-Pro. So not a lot available here for acero, because the 4 and the 13 are, well, 13's blocking the 4. Acero's got the wrong angle in the 12, and playing the inside English, he's overcut the ball. So another mistake, and a visit that only resulted in 1 point. Well, this is where you've just got to be patient. There's no desperation as long as you keep it very tight and you're not the one making the mistakes. And Semi-Pro has left acero a shot, but again it's nothing easy. And Semi-Pro will be quite happy that this match is going this way, because acero, as I said earlier, he's just getting bits and pieces. He's getting nothing substantial at all, and nothing where he's had a decent visit. So he's been frozen out, and he's now got a pressure shot in this 13, and he's played it well, and he's got a little bit of luck. He's on a ball, and this is where he has to knuckle down and focus. And the balls aren't sitting perfect. He's got to pick his way through these. That's now going outward. He's queuing over the 12, and he's got to make sure that he's got this cue lined up on that cue ball. He doesn't want to put any unwanted spin on it. Now the cut on the 12, if he takes that, well, he's looking at the 4, because if he took the 12, he's running into the 9 and the 15. And he's got no 100% guarantee of where the cue ball's going to end up. So he's done the right thing there. Well, it looks as if I'm all alone, and anybody that wants to watch it has gone into the room. I think people have got bored of listening to me. I don't see anything in the chat. I don't know whether anybody's watching. I'm all alone. In fact, I did double check the chat was working. I'm going to double check again just to be sure. I'm pretty certain it should be working. Oh, it most certainly is working. Yeah. Now, can you see enough of that 9? Yes, you can. So all the balls are there, and he has the break ball. the 5 if he wants it. And now would be the time to get rid of the 14. If he's going to choose the 5, he has to get rid of that 14 now that he's on it. And if he took either the 10 into the middle, or if he ended up there, he's looking at getting a good position on that 5. So you're going to have to deal with the 6 first of all now. And he's a wrong angle in the 10. And now he's out of line. And he might well have to take the 5. Because he's now trying to convince himself it's worthwhile taking on this 6 ball. This is not easy. Into a blind pocket. And he's overcut it. And that's always the problem with these tables. These narrow pockets, or whatever they're called, tight or whatever, you send them to the jaws, they ain't going in, and he's left the break ball for semi-pro, so the contribution from acero was a 14, and he so needed to get to that break ball, and he's still got a 32-point deficit, and semi-pro has got everything here waiting for him from this break shot. And another bonus ball as well. 6 ball has gone in. And he's got the 14 across into the middle. If he can't see anything else, I think you can just see the 11. Just a little touch in the 11. So this is now getting to a bit of a crisis already for acero. That visit that he had was so important that he got to that break ball. And once again, this is where the player's sitting thinking, all of these balls should have been mine. So this is just a top-up situation for semi-pro. Try and get that lead built back up again. So the only slight problem is the 12, which I think he's having a good look at. It's a thin cut. But it's the blocking ball for the 2 on that side of the table. And that's still okay. And everything now wide open. 9 ball on the left side of the table near the cue ball is a possible break shot. But now he's got work to do, because you've got the 2 balls at the bottom end of the table here, the 4 and the 1. Got to get rid of those. And he's got the 2 on the top end of the table. Again, it depends how he's thinking. He's got a shot in the 10 where he can run through and take out the 2 ball, but he has to leave an angle on that 2 ball. It looks like he's decided in the 14. Nope. I think well, he's certainly got the angle, a bit more than he probably wanted. And now the cue ball's possibly running between the 9 and the 15 here. And a little nudge on the 15. He could stun down. I haven't looked behind the 15, but he could stun that way. And he's now on the 14. Well, the chat is working. It's definitely working. I'm going to double check it again. Let's have a look. Yep, it's showing in-stream recording. So it should be working, unless it's gone haywire. Everything my end tells me it's working. Well, there's a mistake made by Semipro. And Semipro's run ends in 16, and he leads by 64 points to 17. Right. Well, Bedhead has told me that the chat isn't shown on screen, but I'm looking at my little panel and the boxes are checked to show it should be shown in the in-game HUD. And I'm just going to paste the URL in again. Unless the URL's a bit faulty, let me just double check that. But it showed it was ready to display the chat. Well, it's now confirming that the chat is ready to display messages. So once again, it's showing it, but it's not showing it on the screen. Let me check this. Right. Let me check those two boxes again. Right, it's now I've reset it, and I've got a message on the screen showing me the chat is ready to display. So if there's anybody watching on Twitch or YouTube, please type something in the chat, because it definitely was working. And that'll let me know it's working 100%. The chat is ready, so that when it says it's ready, it's telling me that Twitch and YouTube are functioning. And well, until somebody types something and lets me know that they've typed something, I'm none the wiser. But it's 100% set, and it should be okay. So back to the match. Acero's visit. Well, he must have only scored about four points. Not working in Twitch. Well, another mistake by Semipro. Well, Popman, is there no chat, or is there no stream? presumably you're meaning there's no chat and Twitch. It's telling me everything's working. I checked all that before we started this time to make sure I didn't make a cock up. Yeah, that should be fine. Well, I don't know what's wrong if it's not showing, but everything tells me it's functioning. But meantime, we'll carry on with the match. Acero's back at the table, and Semi-Pro on 66, Acero on 24, and we know the important shot that's going to be coming up in a minute or two, and it's, can Acero get a break? I mean, these balls are fine, they're easy enough to take, but there's nothing sitting good as a break ball. The 14's probably the closest to it, and it's well away from the pack. And what I'll do is I'm going to wait. If there is anybody watching, I'm going to, well, he's got himself in as good a position as he can. I'm going to just tab out for a minute or two once we've seen this shot here, to have a look at the situation. And how's his luck? That's not bad. That little spin away from the 12's helped him. Right, I'll be back in a second. Right, I'm back. Everything is working fine. There are 4 people watching on Twitch. There's 2 on YouTube. I've looked at my dashboard on Restream and it's telling me everything's working. So nothing else I can do. I'm going to copy and paste the URL for the chat back into my little window. And it will no doubt say, yep, the chat is ready to display messages, so that's all functioning okay. But for whatever reason, if anybody's typed anything in the chat, it's not appearing. But the message is there telling me it should be appearing. So Acero's got the break shot. He's on a run of 14. And can he see this 4 ball? Because he's almost locked against the 1. Let's have a look. Yes, he can see the 4. at the stage again where we're looking for a possible break ball, and let's have a look. Well, the 6 ball is outside the triangle, right in the corner of the pack, and he's got a slight angle on the 15, but he just really basically wants to draw back and get up here for this one. And this needs to be controlled well to have a good line on that 6. And that's got to keep travelling. It's got to keep going. And he's there. He's just there. It's still a bit straight. Now how's his luck this time? Well, I don't think he's got much going. He's got a thin one in the 14, but not a lot else to choose from. And the other worry, of course, is where's his next ball coming from? Well, the path is there, and down. Needs to get up there, and he's got a shot. Well, apologies guys if you are chatting in YouTube and Twitch. There's something bugged out. There's nothing that I've done wrong to prevent it from working. It's all telling me it should be working. So Acero is on a run of 23. Is there anything in that pack? He's got one more ball to play for. And, well, I don't see anything set in the pack. And he's done well there to actually get a nudge. And he's brought a couple out. He's working hard now. And he could use that, is that the 12 or the 10? He could use the 10 as a break ball to open these up. If he gets good on it, needs to get somewhere like there, where the donut is. He could also use the 4. Well, he's the other side of the 10, but he's still got an angle where he can get into the pack off that side rail. And that's, well, the running's going a wee bit now for Acero. Couple of break shots, the break shot in the last rack, and this little breakout here, the couple that he's played during this run in this rack are so important to keep building up his score. The deficit's now down to 18 or 16, is it? Is that a 6? Yes, it is 66. And it's such an important contribution, this. What's he looking at? We can pot the 5, no problem. The problem's that 12 ball. It's awkward where it's sitting. It's going nowhere sitting there, and of course it's blocking the path for the 8 ball being the break ball. Well, now he's got too much angle in this 7. He may well have to take a risk here and try and just run that cue ball in between the 8 and the 12. That might be his only option. I don't know whether he can actually go off the rail and come this side. I think he's got too much angle. It doesn't look a comfortable shot. Yeah, little nudge onto the 8. And that's still better than nothing. I mean, he's left himself a tough 12. But if he can avoid hitting the 8, he's still got that possible break shot. And that's a good shot. And that's perfect. Oh, and this is what I say about running into a side, the back end or the full-on side of the pack. The cue ball can lock against it, and that's what's happened there. And acero on a run of 35, such an important run, and he's on nothing. A very tough 14. He could call the long bank, because that middle diamond is a good guide for the bank, or he could go for the cut, and he hasn't called anything yet, but he's obviously played the cut, and he's left it on. So the run comes to an end on 35. He's trailing by 10. And there's an immediate chance here for Semi-Pro to move some balls with this 6 ball. And he's got a shot. Once again, with that visit, acero just couldn't quite get himself back on par with Semi-Pro, so now he's still chasing him down. So Semi-Pro is halfway home, and there is an unforced error on the 9. And, well, acero has been let off the hook there. Just a visit of 5 for Semi-Pro. And, well, this will give acero even more confidence. But he really needs to get that deficit down, because all the time he does that, it puts more pressure on Semi-Pro. So we've pretty much got a match on here, depending on the outcome of this visit from acero. And we've had a couple of little mistakes creeping in from Semi-Pro. Now, does he want to play this in behind? Well, that's a shot if he's got the pace right. Get rid of the 1. I think both of those balls are in the triangle, so there again they're no good. He's nudged out the 4 and he's now left himself a tough one. Yeah, the more he looks at the 4, the more inclined he is to take the 10 instead. Get that cue ball out and across. Well, that's gone too short. Now you would think it would just be the safety. I mean, it's a very tight angle to try and thin cut that into the corner. But even if he did, he's going to miss the pack. Well, that 4 well, Semi-Pro didn't call the bank there. I don't think he did. And strictly speaking, he should have probably called the safety, because where he left the cue ball, he was leaving it in the pack. If he'd called the safety and the 4 ball had gone in, it meant he just wouldn't have to miscall. The Semi-Pro is back in. Seven points in it. And once again, another opportunity to just build up his lead again. So right from the start of this match, where Semi-Pro won the lag, put acero in, acero made a pretty good break off, just the one ball sticking out at a tough angle, and Semi-Pro got in, got a nice little run to start the match, and right from the off, Acero's been chasing his tail. Now, how's that finished? This looks ugly. He's got a thin cut in that 15. Right over the 9. But he's got nothing comfortable on here at all. Oh, he's played that pretty good. Again, he's queuing over the 12 ball, but he should get the 1 no problem. And then the 7 to follow. And of course, the other thing is that he could take that 9 ball right now. If you look at the 7, the 7's over the pocket. He could actually take the 9, get rid of it, and run down here for the 3, because he's always going to be able to get the cue ball onto the 7. Was he playing the combo onto the 7? Well, he's now got the shot for the 3, if he wants that. See, I'm always of the opinion that whenever you've got balls like the 3 ball down the table here, it's always a distraction. It's always in the back of your mind that that's where that ball is and you have to deal with it. And all the while that's going on, you're running out of balls at the business end of the table, so you're always best to deal with loose balls down the bottom end ASAP, and then you can focus on what you're doing. Get rid of the 3 and then you don't have to think about it anymore. Where's this cue ball ending up? Oh, he's okay. He's on a shot in the 12. He can cut the 11. And the lead is back to 15. And there's also, let's have a close look, we've also got the break shot as well. We've got the 11, which would be the favourite, that one there. And now perfect position to a little gentle roll in the 14, and he can get rid of the 8 if he wants. 8 or the 2 for that matter. Dead straight in the 2. So he can squeeze a little angle on this and just stun it up. This is all about the pace of the shot in this 8, just to get good on the 11. That's a wee bit short. That's another toughie. 20-point lead now. But in it goes, and once again a bonus ball. Where's the cue ball going? No, he's scratched. Well, how important could that scratch be? Because Semi-Pro could have had a bucket load here. I mean, these balls are still untidy up where the pack is, but the open balls are there for the rescue for Acero to try and cut back this deficit again. And already I'm sensing it's another very important visit, and it could be, if he gets that little bit of running, it could possibly end up being a turning point, but that remains to be seen. We'll come to that conclusion and decision at the end of this visit, and he's got a lot of work to do though. Now, slight angle in the 13, he can nudge through, but he has to get lucky. He's not playing for a specific ball, he just needs that bit of luck to be on something, and he's got it. Now, these balls here are untidy. He can get rid of the 7, but the 2 is a tight cut to try and find that gap in there. So this is not cut and dried. 5 ball once again is another ball that's just a distraction in this bottom half of the table. 1 ball is a blocker as well. It's in an awkward place, just blocking the path for the 4 and the 6. And he's actually gone a wee bit too far. Ideally, if he'd finished there, he would have got rid of one of those 2 balls into the right middle. And now he's going to have to cut it back, I think, or go for that 5. He's just not in a comfortable position in this 4. And there's nothing happening here, so it's either going to be a cut back in the 4 into the middle, or this 5. But if he pots the 5, where's his next ball? That's the worry. Well, he may well end up behind that 8 ball. Let's have a look now. Oh, he's going to play the combo. Well, it's not set. A little tester. Oh, and that little nudge in the 11 comes in very handy. And he can also, I thought he could just trickle that 1 in there. Maybe there's too much angle on it. Again, he's trying to get rid of these 2 balls. They're a hindrance. He's trying to find a way to get to them. And once again, he has an option here. He can drop between the 1 and the 11 and get in behind either of them, get rid of one. He just needs to get rid of one to open it up. Is he just going to try and drop in? Perfect angle to do it. Even if he brushes onto the one and goes past, he should still be on either of them. We'll see if that's what he's thinking. That's certainly what I'm thinking. Well, he's locked onto the one there, hit it full in the face. Would have much rather hit that a sort of third of a ball just to brush past it a bit more. This is not as easy. But now it's shaping up. Problem dealt with. And he has, well, he's got a possible 2 break balls if he wants. It just depends on what he settles on. Now, I think he wanted to stun higher up. I think that was the intention, just to stun up to about there. Sorry, there for this 4. And now he has the angle. But again, you see the problem. The problem with this is the angle brings the cue ball to there. He wants to hit a corner to open the balls. He doesn't want to lock against the pack. And he's hit a corner. How's his luck? Well, I don't think he's got much luck, but he's got a possible cut in the 10, a very tight cut. Well, you can see the 3 and the 4 are a combo, but there's no way of getting to them. And there's a gap between them as well. So he's just going to play safe. And that's the right thing to do. And he's got it back to within 5. And I think that's as close as acero has got so far. Loses a point there, but that, again, it's not important. The more important thing is keeping it tight. And now we're into a safety battle again. And with that earlier battle that we had, acero was a loser. So acero didn't quite get into the lead again. He's still running after semi-pro. So it just adds to the tension. So acero back on 1 full. And now he doesn't want to risk playing a second foul here. He could be up against it. He's looking for a way to get a ball to a rail, and that's the pressure on. And where he's sitting is not ideal to try and get a ball to a rail. He could try doing a stun onto the 6, but he's bound to open things up. Well, he's got the 3 to the rail, so he's picked that out nicely. And just a quick reminder, guys, when I'm using this XSplit Gamecaster, I have the chat so that everything is on my single screen. I've got 2 screens, and that's to save me having either Twitch or YouTube up on my second monitor, so I don't have any means in any way of looking at the chat. So if you are chatting on Twitch and YouTube, my apologies. As I say, everything says it's working okay, and I don't know the reason why it's not appearing on my screen. It all should be fine. And I'll try and refresh things and get things fixed for later on tonight. The match between Frankel and Romario on the 1 loss side. Well, that's missed by the country mile, that 3 ball, and acero has got a bit distracted there. That's a bad miss on the 3. Yeah, as I say, the match between Frankel and Romario on the one-loss side is set for tonight at 8:30 GMT, and that would be 5:30 in the afternoon East Coast time, and 2:30 PM in Pacific time. Well, that's a bad miss there by Acero. It definitely is. He's still trailing by 5, and once again, there's balls here for semi-pro, and this might be the tail of this match. Acero yet to get back on a level playing field here with semi-pro, and just cannot quite get there. I think this has ended up a little bit of a tight one, and that's rescued it. That cue ball running there, once again just hoping to get good, and he's got a couple of choices. And another distraction ball, the 3 ball, down this bottom end. And the only reason he's not taking it now, I think, is because he's dead straight on it. Oh, he's got a wee bit of an angle. It's still a bit straight, the 3. Now, if he doesn't do a lot with the cue ball here, it's going to be a long 11 ball. Or a 7. Well, that's a long 11. Now, this is dead straight as well. So, he can only run through. And he needs to run through far enough to leave himself a shot in that 7, I think. Oh, he's managed to hold it for the 12. Well, that's well done. Didn't think he can hold it enough. Well, the 5 ball is the break ball. And possibly the 14, believe it or not. That's okay as well. So for semi-pro, he's on 94, 15-point lead. And he's gone the wrong side of the 5, so he's going to have to work the cue ball right inside English to come off the rail and catch the pack. Well, can he stud that back into the pack from there? Looks as if he's just drawn and playing the safety. That's what it's going to be. So the run ends on 13. He's brought a ball out and he's got that cue ball locked. That's a good shot. Now Acero has to be careful. the cue ball's just in far enough to block off that 15. Now that's a mistake. He's gone too far. And Acero has a shot in the 15. Just a wee bit too heavy. He got a shot in the 4 as well, but he's going to look to get an angle on either of these balls. It's more than likely now going to be the 4 to try and run this cue ball into the pack, because there's nothing else there unless he does something. Well, he can just see the 4, but can he get the line off this 4 and off the end rail? He's studying the pack. He's looking at that 9. Well, we can see the 9 goes, but my goodness me, it'd be a brave person to take a cut on at that angle. Well, he's looking at a combo as well. Let's have a look. Oh, this is brave. Oh, that's a brilliant shot. That's brushed off the 10 ball and sent the 2 into the corner. A very brave shot. But what's he got next? Those 4 balls are all blocking one another here. 6 ball doesn't cut to the middle. Well, it does, but it's tight. So he's got the 14. And didn't get the little nudge, but he's still got a shot in the 3. So now things are ramping up here. Acero has to be careful to make the most of these open balls. It just hasn't got the cue ball under control yet. And he's missed a 3, and the pressure was on. So it's another short visit of only 3 points. And now Semi-Pro has the chance to get to triple figures. And he's again got a bonus ball. And for such... to pull off that combo out of the pack that Acero got there, it's such a little reward just to get 3 from it. He deserved a lot more, but the balls were not sitting nice. Once again, and many times we've said this is Semi-Pro just building up the lead again. It's been a pattern right throughout the match. 8 ball's going to go. 12 ball is your break ball. And the little, well, he can go either way. He can pot the one and come across the table, or he can run this ball down the rail. Just kill the cue ball for the one. Either or, whatever he's happy with. Now, how's that finished? Well, he's on the rail, and it just allows him less control on that cue ball, but I think he's got the pace not to. He's gone a wee bit far. Would have liked to have been about there. That would have been a more comfortable shot, but this is a crucial one to keep building that lead. And in goes the 12, and the balls, oh, he nearly scratched there, but these balls have plenty now to choose from. And semi-pro threatening to build up a strong lead again. And he's now opened those 3 balls in the rail. That 9 ball goes, if he can land on it. The 15 goes down into this corner if he can land on it. So they don't need to be moved again as long as he gets good on them. The run goes to 14. And overall he leads by 110 to 82. And we're now rapidly approaching the business end of the match. And Acero knows that should he get another opportunity fairly soon, it's going to have to be a good scoring opportunity. It can't be just 2 or 3. Has to get something significant to keep himself in the match, because right now it is threatening to just run away as long as semi-pro can stay at the table. Well, he's run on to the 8, but he's still got a couple of choices. A tough 15 ball and a cross table shot into that left middle will do, because he doesn't need to do anything with the cue ball. He's bound to be on the 3 or the 7 or even the 6. But that 8 ball nudge has now caused a problem on that right side, and try to improve the situation. He's actually got the double kiss in the 9, which has left him a cut in the 8, so he'll take that. And he's also got a possible break ball, the 9 ball. Now, can he take this 15 and get on the 6? Because if he takes the 9, he's going to nudge on to the 15, I think. Nope, he's missed it, which is handy. So it's going to be a break ball from the back of the pack. Unless he can... I think he's... Has he got enough angle? Well, he's got something. But once again, it's a flat pack here, right in the back. He's caught the corner, spun along the line of balls, and he's got a shot in the 2, with possibly the 3 other one to follow. And the 8 goes, and if you can get in the middle, the 5 goes. So there's opportunities here for semi-pro to just keep going. The run goes to 26, and how significant is this visit? Because this could just kill the match here, and score acero out the game. That's a nasty little cutback on the 5. We've got a similar shot in the 12. Well, I think this is this the highest run of the match so far? I don't know whether we've been over 30, have we? But it's coming at the right time for semi-pro, because things were getting a wee bit twitchy when acero was coming back into it, and now it's looking a big margin now between the two. That's a good little shot, and he still landed on one as well. Run goes to 34. Semi-pro now in 130. And acero is now way back there on 82. Oh, well, it's a mistake, and the run ends in 34, but it's a hefty lead for semi-pro, and now acero has to now live up to his 2,800 rating, and if you're going to do it, now is the right time to do it. And well, nothing is a good break ball here, so his odds in scoring a lot in this visit are narrowing down. And nothing is a good ball here at all. If he takes the 5, he's just running around the corner to give himself a shot in the 8. That cue ball needs to bounce off that rail. Well, he's got the cut, and he's got the angle to get into that pack. And he, you know, as always, when you do that, you still need that bit of luck. You can break the balls, no problem. He just has to land in something. Now, what's he got? Well, he has a shot. The 12 will go past the 13, but it's another blind pocket cut. And these are tricky to judge. Now, does he want to get greedy here? He can pot the 5 and he can nudge into the pack. Or does he want to just pick off what's there for him? And that's the dilemma he's got, and how aggressive he wants to be. Because Semi-Pro is only 20 away from winning this match. And he's got to attack and defend at the right time now, Acero. He can't be overly aggressive. He might think, well, that's the only way I'm going to win it, but it's a very easy way to throw the match away. So he's 40 behind Acero on 90 and Semi-Pro on 130. And not an awful lot for the for choice here. What's he got? Well, he's got the 6. And that's a nice pace on that shot, just to use that 2 ball to hold for the 9. And he's now got an angle on the 5 to get the cue ball into the pack. He's looking at the 14. The 14 goes, so that's an option that I didn't expect. Oh, and now it's looking pretty good. Everything open. What we're looking at break balls, well, they're no good because they're in the triangle again. He's got a possible 10. He has a possibility off the 2, but he's going to have to take that as a shot because he's got no many other choices. So once again, we're approaching the critical point in the rack and finding that break ball and prolonging the run and reducing the margin. And it's always good when you have this deposit. It's just good to get to triple figures. Get that over the 100 and then you don't feel as if you're trailing by such a big margin. So 10 ball it is. Let's see where it is. It's towards the corner of the triangle. And he's played a good shot. Might have done with a wee bit more, as a matter of fact. He's a bit straight. He's going to have to amp this. But he's brought a ball out, a couple of balls out. That's okay. And he's now on 101. 29 behind. And he's possibly... Let's have a look at this 6 ball. Oh, I thought that 6 ball might have went and he had an angle to get into the pack there, but he can still do it off the 11. Or does he want to just try and get on this too? We'll soon see. And another little break, and he's on a ball. But we've got 1 ball down the bottom end of the table. We won't worry about that for the time being. Well, here's the perfect opportunity on the 2 to deal with those 5 balls in a cluster, or 6 balls in a cluster. And well, 13's the blocker, but everything is there for the taking. Needs to get that 13 out the way. And the 6 and the 15 are a problem as well. Now, well, a couple of options might become available here. If he can get the angle on the 8, he can brush into them and just open them up a bit more. Or he might possibly be able to draw across and land on one of them. It's difficult to say here. Well, you see he's ended up in no man's land. I think he tried to stun behind either of those 2 balls, and he hasn't got into it enough. And on a run of 28 and trailing by 20, he's having to pull out a good one here. And he's going to hang it up. And once again, trailing by 20 now, he's let Semi-Pro back in. And that was just not stunning it hard enough to get into that gap. Left himself high on the 7 into a well blind pocket. Very difficult to judge. And Semi-Pro, goodness knows how many times I've said this, but same again, just running away from acero and keeping them at distance. I think the angle's there. Well, it looks as if he's leaving that 15 in the middle. Had an angle to run around the other side on the right hand side as we look of the 6 and the 15. And that is reasonable enough to maybe catch those last 2 balls on that right hand side of the pack on the corner. Well, he's hit them right in the middle. They have broke and he's got a shot. So Semi-Pro on 135, just 15 away. And he's looking to finish the match off here. Still got a wee bit of work to do. Acero's had those chances, but just getting himself out of line at the crucial point to keep the run going. And what's happened here? Well, he can see the 11. Just 11 needed. And a little nudge here, just to free up the 15 and the 4. Because he's going to need them. if that 15 goes past the 10, that's a bit of a bonus, which it does, plenty of room. So 6 away, and still needs a break ball. Still needs one more after getting rid of these to seal the victory. Now, can he get anything on that pack off this 10? Nope, it was too far. So, semi-pro now on 149, a run of 19, and just looking for the safety. A lead of 39 points, and you would say an unassailable lead. Well, he's being aggressive. Oh, I thought he was going to really be aggressive there, but he's nudged out the 4, and the 15's there as well. Now, if acero can pot the 4 and just run around and finish short in the 15, he has a break ball. It's all about controlling the pace, and he's made the mistake, and this for the match, the 15 ball. So semi-pro wins the match by 150 points to 110, and basically from the break off, from winning that lag and getting that little run to start with and building up that lead, that's where the match took off from. He had the lead from there and he never lost it, and it was a solid, strong performance by semi-pro. Consistent. One or two little errors crept in sort of mid-match, but the significant thing was there was less errors on semi-pro's part than in acero, and the margin was 40 points in the end, and it was always going to be a struggle for acero. When you're trailing, the pressure's always on, but it's been a good effort. But the important thing for acero as well, he's still got another chance, and he's going to be a tough opponent over in the one-loss side. And we'll have a look at the bracket. And we'll see that acero, semi-pro is now in the hot seat, and this is his second major final in a row. Of course, he got to the final of the 8-ball bar table world championships, where he managed to put on a fight back and come back and beat Frankel in that final. Well, there's still a possibility of a similar final, because if we now look across in the one-loss side, we can see that acero has moved through to the one-loss side final, and he's going to have a wait while these guys battle it out. So we've got Baker Maker sitting there in the one-loss side semi-final, if you want to call it, and he's waiting on the winner of the match between Romario and Franco. And I'll tell you something, that Romario's up against it. Franco can't take him lightly. And whoever gets through is going to have a tough match against Bakermaker, that's for certain. And so we've got some quality left in this tournament. And we've got the match to look forward to tonight at 8:30 between Romario and Franco. Race to 100. I'm going to go away and get this restream thing rechecked and hopefully get it working so that we can see the chat on screen and hopefully get it right for the night. So until then, folks, thanks for your company if you are still there, guys. Sorry about the chat, and hopefully we'll see you later on tonight.